Hi, this is Omar at Top 5 E-Bikes, and this is a full review of the AddMotor E-43, which is a commuter e-bike that's $15.99. If you're into e-bike content, reviews, like a review for the AddMotor E-43, please consider subscribing to Top 5 E-Bikes and hit the bell notification. This review is going to have three parts. I'm going to talk about the specs of this e-bike. I'm going to talk about the test rides that I've taken, and then I'm going to give you my final thoughts on the AddMotor E-43. All right, let's talk about the specs of the AddMotor E-43. At the time of filming, this e-bike costs $15.99. And there are coupons from time to time that AddMotor will put out. So if you're interested in this e-bike, you should keep an eye out for any coupons or discounts that could lower the price of this e-bike. In terms of frames, the E43 is a step-through frame. There is a big brother to this e-bike, which is called the E53, and that's a step-over frame. Same exact specs, motor, battery, all the components are the same, except that the only difference is the frame size and I believe some of the colors. So this particular model, the E43, comes in 4 different colors. Now let's talk about the actual components of this e-bike. I'm going to start off with the battery. The battery is gigantic. It's 960 watt hours. It's 48 volt, 20 amp hours. And AddMotor actually, according to them, this battery can give you up to 125 miles on one single charge on pedal assist level 1, and we'll talk about this later in the review. But definitely one of the differentiators of this e-bike. The second thing is the motor. It's a 500 watt brushless rear hub motor, and that's, you know, not a big deal, yawn, except that it's 907 watt peak. So that's really the big difference in this motor. Some of the other e-bikes in this category, in this commuter e-bike category under $2,000, they have 750 watt nominal, but they actually peak at 750. So this motor actually has more wattage, so more power than some of these other motors, even though they claim to be 750 watt nominal. It also comes with hydraulic brakes. There's a front suspension, which is really nice, and that's really what makes it part of this category with these other e-bikes. Has integrated front and rear lights, and these lights actually come with a turn signal, and there's also a horn, which is kind of nice. Not the greatest horn, or the turn signals aren't the greatest, but it's kind of nice that it has both the horn and turn signals. It also comes with a rear rack, which is nice, so you don't have to buy the rack. So it's a commuter e-bike that's ready out of the box. And there's also an option to add a front rack. All right, now that you know a little bit about the specs of this e-bike, let's talk about our test rides. So I test rode the E43 on paved roads, and you can see me here on a paved road. I'm at one of the campsites here in the Central Coast in California in Carpinteria. But I test rode it on paved roads, also some dirt roads, some light trails, just because this has a suspension, so why not? But I want to focus on 3 things when it comes to the test rides. I want to focus on the power of this e-bike, the battery, and then also the comfort. So I'm going to start off with power. Power-wise, and we went over this in the specs of this e-bike, it's 500 watts, but this isn't a normal 500 watt motor. It actually peaks at 907 watts. And that's higher than the Rad City 5 Plus, than the Aventon Level, than the Ride 1 Up 700 series. So all those bikes peak at lower amounts than this one. So even though it's 500 watts, it actually gives you more output than these other similar bikes in the same category, which is this commuter e-bike with a suspension and hydraulic brakes. So you have a little bit more power. It also has more zip. So when I go throttle only, which obviously right now I'm not going throttle only, but you just feel the zip. It just, you know, you can feel the power. It gets up to, you could see it hitting the 900 watts when you're going throttle only. So power wise, you know, to me, that was one of the things that stood out about this e-bike. The second thing that stands out about this e-bike, and the other thing I wanted to mention, is the battery. And we haven't done a drain test, and it would probably take a lot to drain this battery, but it's 960 amp hours, which is those other bikes that I mentioned earlier. So that Aventon Level, the Ride 1 Up 700 series, the Rad Power bikes, Rad City, 5 Plus. Those are 672 amp hours. So this is about 50% more, almost 50% more than those other bikes, so which are more expensive. So you get a lot of battery for in this price point. And we haven't done a drain test. According to AddMotor, you can get 125 miles in pedal assist level 1. There's no way that I would get 125 miles in pedal assist level 1 just based on my weight. But I could see getting 75 to 100 miles in pedal assist level 1. I think probably if we were going throttle only, my guess is that I would probably get 50 to 75 miles throttle only. So again, it's just a big battery given the price, this price point. And yeah, so that's the other thing that really stood out about this bike. The last thing I want to mention is just the comfort of this e-bike, and you can see me here riding it, but comfort wise, I think there's a lot of little extras that come with this bike. Like for example, it comes with hydraulic brakes, so you know, it makes it really nice to stop on the drop of a dime with this bike. So it's not a super you know, it doesn't have a high speed compared to some of these other commuter e-bikes. So the max speed on this one's 20 miles per hour, but it's kind of nice to have really nice to have hydraulic brakes. I mean, continuing to talk about comfort, we're now on a dirt trail, and because it has a suspension, it's just a little bit more comfortable than a rigid frame that doesn't have a suspension. It's also, this E43 is a step over frame, so it's easy to mount and dismount. So it does have, there's a big brother to this bike, which is the E53, which is a step through, yeah, which is a step through frame, but or I'm sorry, a step over frame, but this is a step through frame, which is kind of cool. That makes it easy to mount and dismount. So yeah, again, we have power that we talked about. We talked about the battery, which is a big battery, and then comfort, the comfort of the bike. So those are the main three things that I wanted to talk about in the test rides. So I think when you look at this e-bike, and at the time of filming, it's $1,599, so it's a little bit under $1,600. It's just an affordable e-bike in this category of commuter e-bikes, and especially these that have hydraulic brakes and a suspension. Other e-bikes in this category are the Ride 1Up 700 series, the Rad Power Bikes Rad City 5 Plus, and the Aventon Level. So all those other e-bikes are more expensive than this one, and they also have either, you know, definitely smaller batteries and smaller motors, or at least peak watt outage or output than this e-bike. So I think it provides a ton of value. So I think it's a great buy for someone that's looking for a commuter e-bike with hydraulic brakes, that's looking for a big battery. So if you have a long commute and you're looking for an affordable commuter e-bike, then I think this is a great choice for you. So it's been a lot of fun. Thank you, AddMotor, for sending this e-bike. Really appreciate it. I've had fun riding it. Let us know if you have any questions or comments. Subscribe to Top 5 e-bikes if you haven't. And again, thank you for watching.